This podcast is designed to be a drama-free zone where we explore all aspects of the hair industry that aren't typically discussed. Our goal is to provide insight and have honest conversations without adding any unnecessary negativity or controversy. I am so excited to have you on.
I was very excited to be invited.
Let's turn up the heat a little bit.
Yeah, I'm ready. Thanks for having me.
What the is going on? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Beauty Brief. I'm your host, Miles. TikTok sensation, Instagram mama. Is it Instagram mama a good one? Welcome, Shannon, to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
We're so excited to have you here on the Beauty Brief. I feel like I know we've referenced you in multiple episodes when we talk about branding and kind of like figuring out your path and then like totally locking in and then like going to the finish line and being like so fucking epic. So I was like, you need to be on the Beauty Brief so we can chat about this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I kind of want to dive in a little bit with you and kind of talk about your salon journey because I've known you, honestly, I met you through Instagram.
I think it was like 2020.
It was before that.
Was it?
2019 because we had an extension class.
Oh,
Remember,
yes, yes. Yep.
That's when I first met you in person.
Yeah.
And I always knew you as... were you doing barbering? You were at a barber shop.
Yes.
And so that's where I like kind of like figured out who you were. You were, I don't remember the exact salon, but and then we had an Instagram thing where we did an extension class. You came to that.
Yes. Yes.
And that's kind of where we started. But kind of tell me a little bit about your journey from hair school. Like, where did you go after that?
Yeah.
Kind of talk to me how we got to here today. Because if you don't know, Shannon rents a suite inside MJS. So
yes.
take it away.
Okay, so hair school, I graduated and I had this setup where I was going to be an assistant at a salon that one of the other girls, her husband owned.
Okay.
And so, but before I had my license, I was like doing the reception work, and then it just kind of never came into that assistant role, and it was too far for me. It wasn't the right fit. And so then I went to a chain salon, haircuttery.
Stop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not to interrupt you, but I've heard like good and bad things about going to start there.
Yeah.
Like good things in the sense of like you have like a very busy like clientele. So you're like constantly doing something.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like the management's wild. What was your experience there?
Honestly, it was a really great time. Like the group of girls that I worked with was fun. There's always challenges, but I think the best part about it was it was similar to hair school where you had to take whatever came in the door. And so it really got your like timing and your skill set down to like a certain standard, which was really helpful because that made me realize, okay, I really enjoy doing like short haircuts at the time because it was over in Yukon. So we were getting like a lot of students and I was like, okay, this is easy. I can do this. I don't mind it. And then I had found a well-known barbershop near me was hiring. And I was like, oh, I'm going to like go to the interview. Like it was like an open interview and I'm going to go and I'm going to check it out. And I got it. And there were reasons why they were like so eager to hire people that I didn't know at the time, but
Okay, so I have to ask you about the interview process of that.
Yeah.
Because a barbershop, I feel like when I think of a barbershop, I don't think of like the most professional.
Oh my God, no.
And like, I just think of like a bunch of dudes being like, yeah, bro, like, do the fade. Like, I don't know. That's like the culture. And maybe that's like bad of me to think. But like, what was that interview like?
It was literally just me and the owner at the time sitting down and he asked me a couple questions and I was like, when can you start?
That barbershop that you're speaking of, they're busy though. Or were they not? Are
They were. They've since changed owners and names and a whole bunch of things. So
yeah.
But
at
it was
the time
very
that you
well
were there,
known.
Yeah, at the time you were there, like it was popping.
Yeah. It was so busy. So I remember like my first day and this was when I first did chair rent. And my first day there, I made enough to cover my chair rent. And I was like, amazing. Like, this is great.
Wait, stop. So they because it's walk-ins and whoever's there is there.
Yeah, walk-ins, and then they also did appointments.
Okay.
Yep.
So they fed you a lot of people.
Yeah.
How
yeah.
many stylists were there at the time?
I would say about 6 to 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of a revolving door at that time. So,
But there was enough in demand to do that.
yeah.
And again, to stop you in your tracks and ask you this question, I am always fascinated by the haircut culture surviving and making money in that. Is it just because it's every 30 minutes it's a new appointment and you're just adding up, or like how does someone like really thrive and just like, because how much is a barber haircut at the time, like that you were charging?
Gosh, I mean, I don't even think it was $30.
So how the
It was probably
how many
$25.
freaking haircuts did you do?
Like, when I was barbering, I was doing like 16 to 20 people a day.
Jesus Christ.
So it was like back-breaking work, and it was like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Like,
Do you remember your chair rental rate?
it was $200 a week.
So $800.
Yeah.
That's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
But wow. Okay, so that's like you're really turning it out. Again, your timing from haircuttery kind of aiding you in understanding and how to like do that. That's really cool.
Yeah. And there were 2 key people who really taught me a lot. Like, I remember there would be times where he would come over and he would be like, all right, this is what we're going to do to like get that line out of there. And they really taught me a lot. And then I would also, every morning before work, I would watch YouTube videos.
Okay.
On like barbers being like, all right, this is how I fade and this is the clippers I use. And then our supply guy would come in and I'd be like, all right, I need those clippers.
Wow.
So that I can like level up.
And I feel like, again, like just like kind of like flashing forward to like you today, I feel like that is really symbolic to you. I feel like you're someone who just like wants to figure it out, does, and succeeds. And I feel like that's what makes you stand out from a lot of other people that I've witnessed. I've seen a lot of people. It's just, I think that you kind of like, okay, if you don't figure this out, I'm going to do the research. I'm going to practice. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to, go to this class and I'm going to perfect it. I feel like you're one of the only people that I've noticed 6 years. You're 6 years into the game, right?
I'm going to be going on to 8.
8 years?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Which is crazy.
Wait, stop. Don't do that to me because that means I'm going 8 years into it.
Yeah.
When did you go to hair school? Sorry.
2016.
Same. So we're, wow. 6 years is something that's long. Anyways, you're the only one that has been, almost 8 years into it.
Yeah.
That still goes to classes a lot. Like, not a lot of people do. Why do you have
I
something to say
have a
about that?
lot of thoughts on that because I think that, and I have like, to each their own, but some people kind of think like, whoa, well, I already know so much. Like, what else am I going to learn? And I'm like, you can always learn something.
Right.
Like, I've taken classes that maybe I've regretted in a sense because I'm like, I don't know, I didn't get everything I wanted out of it, but I still got something. So that's all you can ask for.
Exactly. And I did the same thing. When I worked at my first salon, in a year and a half, I went to the same Goldwell introduction class at a hotel lobby. Every time someone new got hired there, I always asked my boss if I can go because every time I went, first of all, I loved meeting the people. And second of all, I learned something new.
Yes.
And I was able to go back into the room and ask a question that like I forgot to ask last time or something lit up or whatever. So
yeah,
very impressive with the education. We'll circle back to that, but I want to keep going. So you were at the barber shop. You were like, okay, some things are going on. Not my fit anymore. Where did you go from there?
Yeah. I had, well, 2 of the guys had went out to open their own and they did ask me to go with them. So I went. So I was still in the barber world for quite a few years. And then around that 2019 time, I was like ready to do my own thing. And I went to Phoenix Studios. And then the world shut down like a month later. Yeah. So that was crazy. But I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I can do this. I didn't know anything. And it was a great learning experience. Yeah. And it's hard to like look back at that and not feel like it was a failure because now I know so much and I'm like, oh, this is what I would have done differently. But I went to Phoenix. I stayed there for like under a year because I really didn't love it. I mean, part of it was there was no community like felt like no one was ever there.
Yeah.
And then there were no windows, so you were literally in like a box, and it was very lonely. So I ended up going back to the barber shop, and then I stayed there. I needed some stability at that time, like with everything going on in my life. My mom was getting divorced and then also moving, and my boyfriend's family was moving. So it was like a whole thing. And so we were moving out on our own, and I was like, okay, I need stability, and I know that this is safe. So I'm going back, and I stayed there for probably another year or two. And then I kind of got to that point where I was feeling like, okay, I need something else. Like, this isn't lighting me up inside anymore. And that's when I had went into the salon world, and I was like, I'm going to do color. Like, I'm going to completely leave barbering and focus more so on color now.
What was that transition like? Because that is actually something that a light bulb just went off. I'm like, oh wait, she's been doing barbering. Were you dabbling when you were at Phoenix with color, or were you just barbers?
I was dabbling with color. Yep. But that was something I never felt super confident with, because in hair school, I just didn't feel that the education on formulation was strong enough for me to go out and do that on my own.
No, there's something that people don't realize is in hair school, there's zero creativity.
Yeah.
It's let's pass the state board so then you don't have to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to pay for extra hour, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's such bullshit is the word that comes to mind. Anyway, so you're coming back into the color world. That has to be kind of scary and intimidating, because it's like you said you didn't get the great foundation in hair school. You went into barbering, and boom, now you're coming back to the salon. So like, what do you think set a fire under your ass to have the confidence to be able to do that? Because that's scary.
I was at this point where I was like, I'm going to try something else in the hair industry, or I'm going to leave it altogether. And I feel like I've had that happen to me a couple times within my career, and the industry always pulls me back in, and it's like, okay, I have something else for you. So I not only did I do color, but I also signed up to do IBE, and I spent all my money, the most money I've ever spent, on education.
Yeah, that's an investment.
That was so scary.
Yeah. No, that's actually so terrifying. And first of all, investing in yourself is already hard enough, because you have to build that confidence, be like, I got this. But then when you swipe the card, you're like, oh shit, I gotta do this. It's not I want to, it's I gotta. So not only are you going back into the salon culture, which is completely different than a barbershop, completely different, then you're starting color again, then you're starting extensions. Like, that's wild. And I think also, just to touch base on something you just said about how you're like, I'm not jiving with this, I'm going to leave the industry if this doesn't work out. I think that's a natural thing to go through. And a lot of stylists do that. And it really, like, disheartens me when I see people just give up on it, because this industry is what you put into it. And I feel like when someone just wants to, like, or not even wants to, just gives up on it, and it's just like, no, I gave it 6 months, I don't have any clients, I'm leaving. Like, have a little bit more confidence in yourself, babe. Like, come on. Like, you can do it. It's just doing the work. It's a hustle.
It is.
So when you went to the salon, was it rental or was it commission?
It was rental.
Okay.
And I've been like all over the place. So I went somewhere, and I was there for like maybe 2 weeks, and I was like, nope, this is not the fit. And the owner was very understanding, and I parted ways. And at the same time, I also had an interview at what I would call my quote unquote dream salon at the time. And I managed to get that interview, and they loved me, and it was like so what I wanted. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was someone I looked up to very highly, and they offered me a spot to rent the chair, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make it work. I'm going to find a way to make that rental price work. It doesn't matter. I have to do it, because if I don't try, then I'll never know, and I'll always regret it.
Right. So we'll tiptoe around the subject for sure. Just out of respect for everyone and everything. But did they present that offer like, oh, you have to interview and like we're picking, like they kind of like pumped it up because like they had like a big brand?
Honestly, no. I would say it was pretty laid back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was very laid back.
Yeah. And did you feel like you got, if you want to answer this, do you feel like you got the guidance that you thought you were going to get during that time?
Absolutely. I'd say like I probably got even more.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's good because I feel like sometimes when I've chatted with other people in the industry, they like are like, oh my God, this dream thing. And then they bite into the apple and it's rotten to the core, not to quote Charlie XCX.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning. But that's really awesome. And I know that just because I know you and I know your journey, that was such a special place for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's really neat. Tell me, did your brand at the time align with that brand? Because the brand you have now to me is night and day.
Yeah. I think at the time it did. I was very into crystals and tarot and witchy things. And I think, there's always a little part of me that is, but that was very much at the forefront there. And
I feel like
I leaned
your
into
brand
it.
Right now, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, is clean girl meets clean witch meets edgy meets so professional. It's like the perfect trifecta of your journey, I feel like. Like there's edginess, there's cleanness. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like sharp corner. I don't know. Like it just, it makes me feel something. And again, that's why I wanted to have you on so badly, because I love a brand that like when I see an Instagram, when I see even just the hair that you do, I feel something. I get the vision right away. Like it's like clear cut. It's not like, oh, I get what she's trying to do. It's like, oh no, I know what she's trying to do. And like, it makes me want to be a part of it. And I think that's why you're so successful right now, because you have that brand that really speaks to your audience, your perfect client. People eat that up. They want to be a part of the experience, the Shannon experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I know how we found To Bridge the Gap. Kind of take us through that journey of how you landed here. If you can just like say whatever you want to say.
Yeah. A quick synopsis is basically the salon that I was at closed about a week before Thanksgiving. And that was the amount of time we were given to find a place. So, and you're so busy during that time of year. We had one Monday to go and look at places. And we came here to Miles Joseph Studios. And upstairs was rental. And I was like, I remember saying this. I was like, this place is the only place we've looked at where I feel like I'd be okay.
Right.
Like it's on the same level where I'm not taking a step down.
Right.
And that was really important for me because I didn't want to go backwards.
Yeah. I think you guys caught me at a time where, because you've seen it all. I mean, you've been here for a year and a half?
I think it's
2 years?
It might be 2.5. No, 2?
Was it?
Almost 2.
Do you know Yasmin?
I don't know. I think it's going on to 2.
Okay, yeah.
This Thanksgiving will be 2, I think.
You guys caught me at a spot where I was up here. I had one suite renter. I had no idea. Like I had an idea of what I wanted upstairs to be like, but I never found its like niche. You guys came in and I really, I wanted to like kind of like help you guys like make this place your own so you could have that flavor, because I know what you went through was like, it's traumatic. Like for everyone involved, for the owners, for you guys, like no one wishes that on anyone and to do anything. And it was funny because I was so nervous because it was 3 of you coming here and I was like, oh my God, like, am I going to be a good rental owner? I haven't had this many rentals. Like I've had this one sweet girl and she literally does her own thing. Like I don't even hear from her. Like, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden I have these people and it was like, I was constantly hearing something. I don't care. I'm also But I was constantly hearing something that needed to be fixed, needed to do, needed to change, So, and then on top of it, I had a staff of 8. So I was like, I was overwhelmed. So I was like shocked that it lasted as long as it did, because like there were times where I'd get a text on a Saturday and I'd be like, Matthew, my boyfriend, I'd be like, Matthew, I'm going to get out of the car and you're going to reverse about 6 or 7 times on me and just end it all.
100%.
People left. and they found their drive. The salon reopened, really happy for them, and you stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And that said something to me, and I don't think you know this, but it did something to me where I'm like, wait a minute, okay, maybe she sees something in me, maybe she sees something in the culture. Because you're quiet, and you're hard to read. You're like quiet, but you're not. And you're hard to read, so I'm like, I always like ask like Matthew, I'll be like, does Shannon like it? You're like, do you think like she does? And he's like, yeah, like of course she does. And like I see how you make this room, and I see how like happy you are, and like whatever. But it didn't happen until after everyone left and you went into the suite. Did I find upstairs's vibe?
Right.
And it hasn't been filled yet with, I think, the people that match the vibe. But for people that don't know, owning a rental salon and creating a vibe and getting it out there and getting a renter is like the hardest thing to do. I finally have all my chairs rented downstairs and with new renters and some people that were on my commission team. But it is so fucking hard. It's anyone trying to open a rental salon. It's not the lights turn on and boom, you have people. And not to go on a tangent, but it pisses me off when I see, and I'm going to use the word gaggles, of people leave one rental salon and then go open another one and be like, oh my God, look at how successful we are. Sure, you're successful and you have a cool space, but you didn't build that, babe.
Yeah.
You made relationships somewhere. You all, all right, cool. You all are in the same group chat. You all love each other. You do whatever outside of work. So it makes sense. You guys all want to work together. You're going to go there. But like, to me, the hard work was in finding the clients to be able to afford it, but not the hard part of actually building a community and building a culture. You didn't build that.
Right.
Just my humble opinion. And no, I'm not editing this out. We're going to be ballsy. So to kind of circle back with everything and talk about your brand, I think that it was a little bit of everything part of your journey to create what you have now.
Yeah.
And would you agree with that? Like,
for
you
sure.
Brought
100%.
something.
Yeah.
And can I ask your opinion? And you can be honest with me if you disagree with me. What do you think, like being in a chair rental, being in a suite, what are the pros and cons of that, and any advice for people that are kind of in this purgatory of like, what should I do, whether they're in a chair rental or whether in their suite rental now, not liking where they're at?
I really do think you have to try it. You don't know until you try it yourself. So there were times where I loved being on the floor with other people and renting, but there were also times where I really didn't love it. So, and once the times that I didn't love it outweighed it, then I was like, okay, I need to change things a little bit. And so when I was in somewhere that was smaller, there was only like 6 of us, maybe 4 of us most days. That was more my vibe. But again, like you said, I'm very quiet, and I don't like to rustle feathers or have confrontation. I'm better about it now, but at the same time, I'm also a people pleaser. So if someone's going to do something, like they want to blast the music, whatever it is, I'm not going to say anything. Like maybe I'll try to turn it down when they're not looking, but I'm also not going to be like, hey, can you turn that down? Because I can't hear my client, So I think for me, finding a suite within a salon is like the perfect recipe, because I have that community of like the girls downstairs and interacting with people throughout, but I also am able to have that one-on-one relationship with my client.
I agree with you 100%. And what I was going to say with that too is like, you're in control of your environment 110%, having your own space.
Yeah.
But you can still open the door and, someone's like in the break room and you're like, hey, like, have a good weekend, or like whatever the case is. It is different. And when I wanted to circle back to when you were at the Phoenix Suites, because again, me and you have always crossed paths.
I know.
Which I think is so fun and funny. And so when you were at Phoenix, I remember it reminded me of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like there was like this episode where there was like cave system.
Oh my God.
And like everyone like lived in, like the vampires lived in it. And I'm like, that's what this is. And at the time I was like, who is this appealing to? And I had the opportunity to go open a suite. I was like, fuck that. I don't want to be in that. And suites have upgraded. Like there is a new salon suites in South Windsor. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think that they get you with the flashy things like and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, okay, that would be so nice to have like a keypad or free square for the year or whatever the case is. But I also do think a suite, you need to be a certain person to be there.
Yes.
Because there isn't that huge sense of community. There's just not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in your own environment and there's 30 other environments in there. So again, like I know someone who like really thrives in that kind of setting where it's like they want to do their own thing. They want to be their own choo-choo train. They want to have their own thing. They want to be in control of it. And they want to clock out and they want to go home and they want to do what they want to do. And that's perfect. But I think like, and correct me if I'm wrong, people like me and you, we kind of feed off of other people. And I see you do it. You fly to Florida. You're taking this one-on-one class with this, but like you feed off of stepping into other people's worlds to help build yours. And I think that's so important because it's like you have to gain inspiration somewhere.
Yeah.
And you have to be in the room with the people that inspire you the most.
Yeah.
So you were saying chair rental versus suite, try both. What do you recommend if someone like right now is like, I'm a commission, I'm going to take the leap of faith. Where do you start?
I would start chair rental.
Why would you do that?
Because I think that there's still a lot of guidance that you need. And I mean, my journey was kind of happenstance where it worked out, you know, that first barber shop was so busy that I didn't need a clientele, but I think it's different now. Everyone's starting off renting and you're starting off from square zero, you know, right. You don't have a clientele. So if you can rent a chair at a salon or a shop where they do have people to feed you, great. But that way, you know, you can balance taking clients and building a clientele while also doing your own thing. Like the work that goes into it is a lot. And I don't think people really understand that.
This podcast is brought to you by Miles Joseph Studios, a luxury rental salon located in the heart of South Windsor. If you or a friend is looking for a new place to rent, check us out at milesjosephstudios.com. It is such a curse and a blessing being in my position right now because I have both.
Yeah. And
I have, you know, seen over the years and know people and have had discussions and observed people that bite off the whole cookie, which is rental, in my opinion, whether you're a suite or chair. And they just really have no idea. And I also hate when a salon owner, especially a commission biased salon owner, sitting there like, oh, you shouldn't be rental. It takes 2 years. Like, I don't think there's a time limit on it because I've seen people that come out of school rent and they're like so fucking successful because they hustle and they're in the right salon and they're doing the right things and they're showing up and it's not Tuesday through Saturday. It's Saturday through Saturday kind of work. But it really disheartens me when someone feels like they have to do it because it's like, oh, like, you know, all my friends are renting or what will happen if I go back on it. It's like, if you're not doing what you need to do to be successful or to get you there to whatever, and you're just struggling the whole time, you're just going to fucking fail. I'm sorry, but it's a bridge that's just weak. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything wrong with holding out until you're ready because I see a lot of girls and it like, I have a situation right now where I'm witnessing someone who I think could use help, but again, I don't want them to think that my ego's something where I'm like, hey, are you like doing okay? Like, do you need to like, you need my help?
Yeah.
I'm trying and I'm consulting with other rental owners. But like, I really want to like look at this person and be like, hey, like there's no problem turning off rental for a little bit. Come on the commission team. I'll feed you so many clients. You're so talented. Let's get you booked and busy. And as soon as you get those numbers, go on there because there's that cushion. So then you can relax and work on your craft instead of working on your business.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the perfect formula. I think like if I were to be a salon owner, I think that that's the best way to set people up. And I think that like renting is a privilege, you know, not for nothing. And this is kind of a tangent, but the people coming out of school now, they're at a totally different level than when I came out of school. Because in school, they were like, oh, yeah, let's like try this thing. I think it's called balayage. No, now they like know how to do everything that I know how to do. They're 7 years ahead in their career.
No, it's actually insane. And with TikTok.
Yeah.
I'll admit, there's this one guy on TikTok, and I don't know if you know him. His name's Dylan, I think.
Oh, I think people have told me about
He
him.
was in hair school, and he like had that relationship with a hair school teacher that was like, he was this old man, and they were like, not like relationship, like romantic. Like the teacher was mean, and he was like, why are you being mean to me, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he has all these TikTok followers. He worked in the salon, and he's like all these things, and he's all the rage. People are traveling to him because he's like, you know, funny and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, you little fucking shit.
I
Like
know.
this wasn't a tool back then.
I know.
And it wasn't even thought about. So yeah, no, I think the word's jaded a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we feel jaded that we're like, damn, like we really had to fucking climb that mountain.
Yeah.
And now you're one click away from success.
I think that their mountain is just different than what ours is.
Yeah.
But I think that there's still a mountain, but I think that mountain needs to be respected
Yes.
in a way.
Let's call it a hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's call it a hill. Or maybe like a little rocky road.
Yeah.
But you can still drive on it with a Jeep. No, I'm kidding. Kind of going into TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I adore your TikToks. I'm like your
My
number one fan.
Yep.
I really am.
Yeah,
I think
you
I have a
are.
t-shirt at home that I made, but that'd be creepy to tell you because you don't have t-shirts made. I just made it with them. Okay. What are you doing with TikTok? Because you were doing a challenge.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know.
And what day did you get on to?
Like 8.
What the fuck? I was following this shit.
You know what? I bit off more than I could chew.
It's a lot.
I was like, yeah, 21 days. No, I needed to start smaller. I needed to start at like
7-day
5
challenge?
days. Yeah. Yeah, literally. And I still have like the rest of the days written out and everything. Yeah. And I think that that's something with content creation is it's so easy to burn out. But like when you're in the groove of it, it's like, it's so good. But as soon as you take like a little break, you're like, oh, but this is nice too. Like there is the real world.
Yes. It is such a balance,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to stay consistent. But I have to tell you, I don't know what it is. I love watching your content. I think it's genius. I think it's the branding is on point, but I also just think like seeing you come out of your like comfort zone a little bit and showing people a different side of you that no one sees, I think is great. And I also think it's like so relatable, the content that you push out there. Like it's in my mind, I don't know why, but you were washing your dishes. You're like,
oh,
okay,
yeah.
I usually ignore this. Hello, everyone does. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, I don't feel so alone. Like, okay, I leave. Well, actually, Matthew doesn't let me leave dishes in the sink because he's my dad, apparently. But like sometimes when I lived alone, I was like, oh, okay, shit. Like I did do that, and like I need to get myself out of that funk.
Yeah.
Some advice. Seasonal depression's coming up. That content would be very inspiring to get out there.
Yeah.
And you need to get back on day 9 because
Yeah.
I'm invested. It's like a TV show, and I'm like, wait, okay, where's my fun episode that I'm watching?
It's like Netflix season 2
And
is
the funny
canceled.
one. The funny ones that you do.
Oh, yeah.
The unhinged, Shannon, where like I think you were in the car, you're just like, I don't fucking care. I'm recording right now and telling you guys how I feel or what just happened to me or whatever. What was it?
I think it was I had just come back from like a double wedding weekend.
Yes.
And I was so drained.
Your brain's like, I need to get something out there, but like this is just Shannon and you're just dealing with it. And like I think Shannon Unfiltered should be your podcast name, and like you should do that. Like I love it. But I kind of want to talk about building your brand to now go back to branding.
Yeah.
You've done a lot and you've built a lot. Do you feel like you're settled in your brand, or do you feel like you want to do more?
I definitely want to do more.
Can you give us like a little sneak peek of like something that you're like working on or like dreaming about?
I'm not quite sure what the next step is, but I know that I'm feeling called to do something more. Like I know that I'm entering a new chapter right now. And even that might just be, you know, I need to do a brand shoot again and just revamp everything. I would love to do some education eventually.
Yes.
But, you know, imposter syndrome is real. So
yes, get out of your way.
Yeah.
Get out of your own way.
I've been journaling a lot about it, and this is the thing. Like, what's the difference between you and the person you're looking up to? Nothing. They just did the damn thing.
Oh, literally say that. Me and Yasmin talk about that all the time. Me and Taylor talk about it. It's like you meet the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
Meaning you see this person you idolize online. You go to their class. You take a meeting with them. There's some, I won't name. Don't. Okay. There's someone in Connecticut who's really big. And I looked up to this person tremendously. Like, literally changed so many things. Listened to the podcast, listened to the YouTube videos. I think I went to one of the classes and I was like, oh my God. And then there was one time where I was like, oh, I'm going to take a meeting with this bitch. And I'm just be like, oh my God, this is so cool. So I'm not calling her a bitch. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, it's a term of endearment in the gay culture.
Yeah.
I'm not calling her a bitch.
This girl.
Anyway. I lose my train of thought when I talk. Okay, so I take a meeting with her.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I have her cell phone number. I'm texting this person. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cool. That day, her car gets stolen. Air quote.
Oh my God.
Your car didn't get stolen. Right. Then we reschedule and I meet in person. I think it's going to be this professional meeting. Nope. They're eating pizza with someone they work with at the salon. And she's like, so what's up? Like, what do you want to know? I'm like, oh, okay. Like, texting, we were going to like go over like, because I wanted to break through. And at the time, ready for the laugh, I was going to write a book, an ebook. So like it was like steps on how to own a salon. And it was like
should.
2 years into my owning it. This was years ago, maybe even a year into it. And she's like, if you want to do this, like you like, and you want to be known for this person, like right about. Anyways, the detail doesn't matter. It's like you meet the Wizard of Oz, and you're like, wait a minute, how the fuck did you get to where you are? And it's because you just did it. Yeah. And that person, I really still do look up to this day, even though like I kind of like met the wizard and was like, wait, you're not like this like shiny toy. You're just like an average person that just like did it, put it out there and said it. She constantly is pumping out like a thought comes to mind. She just posts it. This idea, she just does it. And I feel like that's what I've been doing. Like this podcast, like we've been talking about this for a year wanting to do it. And I'm like, Yasmin, what the fuck? Like, why are we not doing it? Like,
give it a go. Yeah.
We had 36 listeners on our first episode or our second episode or whatever. It's like, who cares? It's 36 people that flicked it on Spotify. We didn't even check the other ones. And that's cool. Yeah. So to go back to what you're saying, do it. Yeah. And you are somewhere. I will not even charge you a cent. And I will have every single person that works here sit and watch you just so you could practice if you want to.
Right. Like, and I know that because I know that you believe in me.
Is that what you want to do? Is that the thing you feel called to? Like classes?
I think in a certain realm. I'm not sure what specifically it's going to be yet. Yeah. Yeah.
I have so many ideas for you.
Yeah.
We'll pick
me
each
too.
other's brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the same time, like there's something so exclusive about you that I feel like you need to start with like one-on-one kind of thing, like have and like it's like Shannon days kind of thing, and like have someone like come when you have extensions, or if someone wants to barber, like you have a lot of men's cuts. You have a ton of men's cuts.
Not as many anymore.
You're right, actually. I don't see any more twinks coming in here. I used to see twinks all the time.
I know.
Did you have a lot of gay like clients? Like 2 years ago when you first were here? Maybe.
I don't know.
Or, nowadays you can't even tell. Yeah. Because even the straight guys are like coming in here and they're like so cool. Like, how I think of a gay person, I just think of like, okay, you actually care like what you like. You have a vibe. Right. And straight men sometimes don't have vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just like love how I said all your men clientele are twinks.
No.
If you're a twink,
they're hotties. They're hotties.
Yeah. No, twink is hot.
Yeah.
Twink is in. Twink is like Troye Sivan.
Okay.
Do you know what a twink is?
Yeah. No, I don't think I've heard that term.
You've never heard the word twink?
Like recently, very recently, like one article. I know. I listen. I told you I'm Charlotte from Sex and the City.
Wait. You are totally Charlotte in like sheep's clothing because you don't come off like Charlotte. Like if someone were to take a picture of you,
tattooed Charlotte,
you'd be like, that bitch has like the best, like she's smoking a cigarette and like fucking your dude. Like that's the kind of vibe you give up. And then you're like, hey, how are you? Like, would you like some tea?
I'm like, do you want to crochet after work?
Like your wild part tonight is a crochet like sweater, right? Like that's like, and like drinking like a really great tea. Yeah. And like maybe a voodoo doll.
Right.
Okay, something like that.
If we're feeling crazy.
I love it. So can you tell me, because I know we're going to start wrapping up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Could you tell me one advice? Because when someone told me never to like hire a business coach, things like that. Did you ever hire someone to help align your brand, like your ideas with what you want to do and like how to kind of roadmap? And was that worth it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It was when I first came here. It was probably like a couple months in. I hired someone to help me with branding, and that was all they did. They were like a social media manager in Dallas or something. And they had worked with other salons, and I really loved what they were doing with the other salons. So I had this one-on-one Zoom with them to go over branding. And I remember telling one of the other girls, and they were like, I don't think you need that. Like, you already have a brand. But I was like,
One of the girls here?
yeah. And I was like, no, like, I know I need something. Like, there needs to be something bigger than just you, at least for what I want to do.
Yes.
So,
because people want to be a part of something.
Yeah.
They want to be like, oh, I see this on Instagram. I want to come to it.
Yeah.
So fucking important.
Yeah. And social media is hard. So, and it was changing a lot at the time. At that time, you were still doing posts, like not so much reels. Like if you were doing reels, you were really killing it. Cool. Yeah. So that was the first branding I did. And then probably a year and a half later, I did another course with someone else, and it was purely social media and how to make social media like easy and attracting your ideal clients. And it was a lot of work, and it was so worth it. And they went over more than just social media. It was a lot about numbers too, and mindset's so big.
It's huge.
Yeah. And then immediately after that, like there was a time where it overlapped, but I signed up for another coaching where it was how to become like extension exclusive. And that was also a lot about social media too, which I felt like I knew a lot of that stuff, but like I said, you can always get something out of it. And the mindset, like the way that this person spoke about mindset really resonated with me. And the biggest thing I took away from that was like, why don't you think you deserve to have that dream?
Right.
You know? And I think that those coachings that I did were so worth it. But I think you'll know when you're ready for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's something so awesome that you just like totally believe in yourself and invest in it and you pour that out. And are you seeing like when you like, for example, the extension like course, like have you seen like a ramp in extensions and how you do things and all that kind of stuff? Like, are you getting that back?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
100%.
I mean, you're busy.
Yeah.
You're always here. So
yeah. And if I'm not at a wedding.
Literally. I don't know how you do that. Lastly, before you leave us, which first of all, let me just recap all of this because it's been so juicy. This has actually been one of my favorite episodes to film, to record so far because I feel like first I learned so much about you and I feel like I work with you. So it's like, what the fuck? Second of all, I want to apologize about something because I feel like talking with you when you were first here, you did come to me and you wanted me to give you some advice and we had a meeting in there. Right. But at the same time, I'm a person that likes to reflect on like how I show up to others. And I feel like I could have probably been there a little bit more. I know you're saying no, but I'm just saying in my mind, like going back at it, I'm like, damn, maybe I could have like been a little bit more helping him. But I want you to also know that I am a person that I'm constantly putting a ball in, the bingo thing and rolling it and then pulling out, oh, okay, we'll try this.
Yeah.
That's
your to-do list.
Literally. To-do list, ideas,
Same.
fucking all the bullshit, and you pull it out. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I apologize for probably not being like, just do it, Shannon. Like, you totally got this. And also, I'm going to say something that this isn't coming from you. This is coming from me. But fuck anyone that I've witnessed look at you and try to think that they knew how to write the fucking book and make the fucking path to the fucking way. And look at where they are and look at where you are. And I don't care if I sound like an asshole, but it's so true. And you don't have to say anything. And I know you're not saying anything, but I'm saying it from outside looking in. Fuck them and you fucking rock. We got to talk about it. The Redken scandal.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Is the saying now, Yasmin, because I'll just reference you because we're old. The lore of it all.
The
or is
lore,
it the core?
yeah.
Oh, you know this?
The lore.
Oh, fuck me. Okay.
The lore of the Redken scandal. Yeah.
So, just drop it. What
Yeah,
happened?
I had received an email, and it was from Redken, and it was like, "Oh my God, we've been watching your page. We're really impressed with the brand you've built, and we think it would align well with ours. And we'd love to bring you on as an ambassador." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, so cool." I was like, "This is crazy." But also I was like, "Is this real?"
You were aware that there's scams out there, but
I
it
wasn't
seemed
aware
real.
of scams.
You weren't?
No, I didn't
Shannon.
know. Like,
love
I
you so
mean,
much.
scams in general, yes, but
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know that like hairstylists specifically were getting scammed by people posing as these brands.
Right.
So I looked up the name and did like a Google search, and it was someone who did work there, and they worked in the influencer marketing. Like, I found their LinkedIn page and everything, and I was like, okay, great. Like, this must be real. So we were going back and forth, and it got to the point where they were like, okay, like pick out your items that we're going to send you. And they gave me a contract, and then in the contract it was like, you'll have to pay $100 for shipping, but we'll credit that back to you.
Because Redken doesn't have $100.
Yeah. Right.
It's like free shipping after you spend $50. Like, fuck them. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, something doesn't feel right. So, and that was like a Friday afternoon. And then I didn't hear from them over the weekend, obviously. And then Monday they came back and they were like, "Oh my gosh, great news. We're also doing YouTube shorts, and we're going to put your videos there, pick out 10 more products, but also you're going to have to pay even more shipping." It was like $300. And I was like,
What?
no, it was like, this is not real. And I had already made a post at that point because I thought it was real. And so this Monday comes and I'm like, okay, nope, I know this isn't real. I could feel it in my gut. And I start reaching out to Redken Instagram, and I look up the name that they used. And mind you, there were no spelling errors in this whole thing.
Okay.
Like, it was coherent.
Yeah.
And everything did seem so legit except for the shipping.
Right.
So eventually Redken like got back to me within that same day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like please don't engage." And I was like, "Well, I've been engaging with them." And I think then they felt really bad. So they were like, "Okay, can you set up we want to set up a meeting with you."
Right.
So we had a Zoom meeting with
Redken?
Yes.
Wait,
I know.
whoa.
I haven't told. Well, this was all Yasmin was like, "You need to tag them."
Shut the
Yeah.
fuck up.
Yeah. She was like, "You need to tag them." And Sophie was like, "You need to put it on TikTok because like that
Yes.
shit's going to blow up."
Yes.
And that was the first thing they said. They were like, "We've seen your videos. We don't want this to happen to anyone else. We're so sorry." Wow. And I was like, I felt kind of bad because I was like, I'm not trying to like get anything out of this, but I don't want other people getting scammed.
No, I don't think it came off like that at all. I think it was like you weren't. It didn't come off like you were blaming Redken. It was just like, okay, if anyone else gets a Redken thing, like, yeah, like literally. So you have a Zoom call. Like,
Yeah.
it's legit people. How many people are on the Zoom call?
It was just the one girl who was doing the influencer marketing. Yeah. So
And what did she say she wanted to meet about? To talk about
to
what
talk
happened?
about my story. Yeah, what happened, and talk about my social media.
What do you mean talk about your social media? Like
She
to take
was-
that down the videos?
No. Like, she was like, obviously I've taken a look at it, and I would like to stay in touch.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So I was like, like shit my pants, you know.
So obviously,
Yeah.
like what the fuck? So give more. Can you give more?
Yeah. So, well, basically she was like, "Please send me all these emails so that we can report it to legal. So we can try to take some legal action." I don't know how they can handle that, but because it's a problem, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
And the amount of hairstylists who messaged me and said the
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing happened to them, I was like, why is no one talking about this?
Dude, if I pulled up our like requests, it's just bullshit after bullshit. Yeah.
Crazy. And yeah, so she talked to me a little bit about my social media journey and my journey with Redken, because I told her, I was like, I'm new to Redken, honestly. Like, I've been trying them out. They were a brand I didn't really understand for a long time, but I've found them super useful, especially with like doing all the blonding I do, because other brands tend to go too dark for me.
Right.
So, and just with like lived in color, it gives you that softness
Oh,
that other brands can't.
I'll never look back. I'm obsessed.
There's just like some magic that they put in the bottle. So
well, it's years of them figuring out the formula, and I love their wide range of formulas. Some people get overwhelmed by it, but I love it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's talking about your social media, your journey.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, well, okay, we're going to send you like a little box of some products. And I was like, oh, thank you. She's like, yeah, it's the least we can do. And I was like, yeah, like, maybe like 4 shampoos or something.
Right.
And it was this huge box.
Shut the fuck up.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so grateful. I was not expecting any of that. But it was really nice to see them like go above and beyond when something unfortunate happened.
And they totally don't have to. They're owned by L'Oreal.
Right.
They'd be like, yeah, sorry that happened to you. Bye.
Yeah, they could have just been like, they could have ignored my messages. Like, it could have been a completely different scenario.
So now you have this person has eyes on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really promising.
Yeah.
And maybe that's that thing that you're giving me a look. Are you
know.
not saying something?
No. Oh my God, no.
Because we could, air quotes, turn off the mics.
I think it's just like surreal.
Yeah.
It's like, is that going to be my journey?
Yeah.
Am I cut out for that?
I think you are. And I don't know if you ever heard of the term micro-influencer.
Mm-hmm.
Brands love that shit.
Yeah.
People that are popping off and haven't gotten their big following yet, because not for nothing, but from a marketing standpoint, who are you going to trust?
Yeah.
You're going to trust the person that maybe doesn't have hundreds of thousands of followers, but, she's your everyday girl renting a suite and doing her thing and owning her brand. And if she can use it, I can use it.
Right.
That's that connection that they've seen in micro-influencing that I think is like really genius. And that's the platform that rockets you off to the major leagues. You know what I'm saying? So fucking rock on. Continue the content.
Thanks.
Shannon, this was so fun. And I feel like this is one of those episodes that I'm going to get on my story and be like, you guys have to listen to, because I feel like you can learn a lot from it and people will relate a lot to it. And I think that you need to share your story not only on, like you did today here, but on your page.
Yeah.
And it's a get ready with me, and it's a get ready with Unfiltered, Shannon Unfiltered.
Yeah.
And this is day 1, and kind of make it a part series and go through your whole journey.
Yeah, I agree.
Hopefully I just made you hundreds of thousands of views or whatever.
I think you did.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And where can people find you on Instagram? What's your handle?
My handle is styled_by_Shannon. And you can find me at Miles Joseph Studios upstairs.
Beautiful. And TikTok?
Oh, TikTok is, I believe it's just Shannon Reith, Rieth. My real name.
Love it. Love it. Okay, well, maybe we need to change that.
Yeah.
Just
it needs to be
case,
styled by Shannon.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Beauty Brief. If you like what you heard, share with a friend, and don't forget to like us anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.